Transaction solutions you can depend on.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today, Monday, the 27th of September 2021, live on the show with Rotus on Business Express 981. Good morning, Rotus.
Hey, good morning, Valentine. Good morning to all our listeners, viewers. Great to be here on another Money Monday.
Yep, Money Making Monday is upon us again. All right, so send messages to be part of the conversation. Please send messages through WhatsApp 0809-444-0981. That's our WhatsApp number. You can also send a message through YouTube channel. The link is up so you can watch as well as comment on the show. youtube.com/Smooth FM Lagos. So just type Smooth FM Lagos in the search box to find us and subscribe.
Yeah, so we're talking power. President Buhari put out he addressed the United Nations General Assembly last, I think it was on Thursday or Friday. And, he put out a press release that Bloomberg got a hold of saying that Nigeria needs more than $400 billion to meet its energy requirements and achieve zero emissions from fossil fuels. That's just energy. That's just energy by itself. He says 310 billion of that is for generation, transmission, and distribution. 75 billion, this is dollars, 75 billion is for buildings, and then 41 billion is for industry and transport facilities. How he intends to raise this money is anyone's guess. Just to put this in perspective, 400 billion is basically the size of Nigeria's economy in dollar terms. And I think for people who wonder the scale, the sheer massive scale of the infrastructure deficit, that is, and again, this is just power. We're not talking about, just to kind of wrap your mind around the scale of what needs to be done to upgrade our power facilities. It's mind-boggling. I mean, look, I didn't even try to do this at the parallel market rates. At the official rates, it closed at 413 on the I&E window on Friday, 413 to the dollar. $400 billion is 165 trillion naira. I mean, that's, it's, it just the brain. So it's a lot of money. His press statements did not say how he intends to raise that money. I mean, look, we already have, he's supposed to be making a presentation for the 2022 budget. I guess appropriation bills is supposed to make, the Senate just passed the framework for the medium-term expenditure framework and, fiscal term strategy papers for 2022. So we already know that going into the new year, we are at, I think they have revenue of 8 trillion naira, a deficit expenditure of 13 trillion. We're facing another 5.6 trillion naira deficits in 2022, which means more borrowing. So, this is, it's almost, I have to talk about it because it's a press release that he put out, but the funds are so large that, what can you do on the power front? I don't know if you remember, I think we discussed this on the show. Was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago on power? Chimamanda Adichie, the author, had a sit down with Angela.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, she's on her way out. Germany just had elections this week. I'm not sure which party. One of the parties has a slight lead. They might have to do a coalition government over in Germany. But Angela Merkel is on her way out. She's been a leader there for like 16 years. And Chimamanda asked her, I wanted to get your updates on the Siemens deal.
Yeah.
We signed an MOU with Siemens, some electrification deal that was supposed to, improve power generation in 3 phases or so. And Merkel was like, I have to get back to you on that. Let me go and talk to Siemens and, or that they pronounce it as Siemens over there and see what's happening. So remember, there was a lot of, and Buhari's former chief of staff, Kyari, was the one who was in charge of that. Unfortunately, he passed away from COVID and so on. So, there's been a lot of stop, starts in the power sector. We have the meter asset provider program. There's like 2 programs running concurrently to try and get more meters to people. We've got whether or not the Minister of Power, Saleh Maman, was recently fired from his job. And so somebody else is now in charge. I think the Minister of State for Works and Housing, Minister of State is now in charge of power. So there's the talk of whether to unbundle the transmission company of Nigeria because of the issues with transmitting power. What we generate, not everyone gets it. So there's just, so many issues in the power sector. And as always, I grind everything down in Nigeria to needing money. Anyone who's listening, if you can tell me where we get $400 billion from, that it will be of great help. But yeah.
I think at this point, the commonsensical thing to do will be to look inwards, because we can't just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Can we necessarily borrow our way out of this issue without, having like an in-house cleanup? We've talked about cutting costs, but down to the details of that, I mean, what are those areas that, we are experiencing leakages? We've talked about how the ministries, departments, and agencies have, to look at their books again, have to go through an audit process. I understand that the Office of the Attorney General is doing that, and it's an ongoing, process. But in terms of leakages, wastage, recurrent expenditure, which is consuming the bulk of our revenue, it's something we really need to examine, because I cannot believe that we are spending all that money every single month. Something has to give. We really have to tell ourselves the truth to say, you know what, there are certain things that we shouldn't be spending money on. There are certain things that are not priority right now. Let us just do away with some of those things. If the governors have to, well, let me not say governors, but if you say local government chairman, councillors, maybe if you're using 3 cars, can you start using 2 now? So you can cut costs from, petrol, because I know that, there's money being allocated for all these things every single day, and it's not naturally reducing. But in the face of the reality, if at home you used to eat 4 eggs, Rotus, and eggs are more expensive, what would you say? You say you reduce it to 3, right?
Yeah, but the eggs I bought this weekend are small.
Bruh. So it's just, it's common sense. Well,
it is. It's common sense. You have to look at that. But there's also the issue of this governing from the center and giving independent power projects to the states. Yeah. So everybody can generate their own, because there's just so much weight on the government, the centralized system that we're doing. And it's not really working out. But yeah, of course, personnel costs are almost as much as capital expenditures, in the trillions, right? The salaries, the overheads, so the tough stance that needs to be made needs to be taken is whether you slash the ministries, departments, and agencies and cut them down to size. But then if you do that, there's a number of people who will be out of work. Where do they now? Unemployment is already so high. So what do you now do? So but hard look again, El Rufai didn't even hesitate. He's doing it in Kaduna, although he's facing so much backlash there. Yeah. But it's a tough NPC. They have refineries that are not working, yet they are paying staff costs. I know that they've tried. I understand that Mele Kyari has said he's tried to get rid of staff there, but he's received, pushback. So it's really, you've got to just be really bold, and really, you have to be able to face the backlash. You have to fight the bureaucracy that is involved in trying to free the country from the shackles of wastage. It's really tough, but
would you
happen at some point?
Would you blame these people for pushing back, giving this backlash to the governors or all the people, the entities or individuals who are trying to cut jobs or let people go? Because if you refer back to the finance minister's statement last week, she said, he said the primary reason for insecurity in Nigeria, she put it down to jobs, to unemployment, right? And then vis-a-vis World Bank President Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's statements, same last week, saying encouraging African nations and developing nations to focus on creating jobs. He said job creation is the key, to improving the economies of these countries. So if you check all those things, it really points to jobs, creates
Right.
jobs. If we're borrowing money, in fact, somebody made a valid statement last week during Freshly Pressed on WhatsApp. In a message, he said, if we create more jobs, if these monies that are being borrowed are targeted towards infrastructural developments that will enable people acquire more jobs, have things to do, it would actually take us out of this issue. But one of the problems that bedevils this borrowing is, first of all, lack of clarity as to where they are being applied and checks and balances. Yes, you collect this money. Yes, the loans have been approved. Yes, this money has arrived the country. Implementation is key to the letter. Right. It's not just collecting the money and say, oh, yes, the money has arrived the country. How is it used? Who follows the process from start to finish? And then maintenance culture. Yeah, we're talking about how we're generating funds from the revenue from the trains. Yes, the trains are here, the railway system, but how sustainable is that? And who's watching to make sure these things don't degrade after a few months?
The trains are already breaking down. I mean, there have been stories of the trains breaking down midway between destinations. So the maintenance issue is definitely high up there. But yeah, to answer the question on pushback, yeah, these people are going to try and survive and maintain the jobs that they're in. But this is have KPIs. Whatever job you are doing, you've got key performance indicators.
Yep.
You put look, what's this job you are doing? What is the outcome? What is if a company is evaluating its employees and says, this job you are doing, what is the value to the company? What is the company getting from the outputs from this position? And that's how you evaluate. So that's how the federal government, because a lot of these, you go to a lot of these ministries, departments, agencies, parastatals, and so on, and they're not doing anything, right? They're just people just sitting around. They're not productive. So that definitely has to be looked at. Look at customs. I was watching a television interview with a private sector surgeon who, through a charitable cause, they're able to perform open heart surgery. He said one of the biggest issues facing the medical industry in Nigeria is importation of equipment. It sits in customs for so long. They ask for bribes. They ask for this and that. So what is the point? How, if you use the KPI of customs officials and you ask, how are you impacting importation of necessary machinery coming into this country that is supposed to facilitate economic productivity? You shake your head and say, you're not really doing anything. If players are all complaining of the fact that this agency is a roadblock to getting impactful machinery and tech. If you're going, so how much are you spending as a country recurrent expenditure for customs and versus their productivity versus their impact on the economy? So you got to look at customs. Then you get to the immigration, the border. It's a lot.
I feel like sometimes we give attention to the wrong things. So instead of focusing on how much we can generate from extortion or money paid for certain services, we should focus on growth. How are you, like you said, Rotus, you're spot on that one. How are you adding to the growth of a particular sector? If an equipment is coming in, instead of holding it, find ways to accelerate the process so they can get the equipment out as fast as possible. It's a growth mentality, but yeah.
It's exactly, yeah.
Kewe sent in a message here. It says, Kewe, $400 billion to fix power issues. How do they want to raise the huge amounts? Youth stop traveling out of this country and government stop borrowing our future away. What do we do? That's a message from Kewe. Inkabolu says people make monies from these bureaucratic activities, Rotus. Gilbert says, good morning, Rotus and Val. I'm Gilbert Musa from Festac. In 2008, some individuals were interrogated over some abandoned electrification projects in Nigeria. What's the outcome of the probe, despite the large amount of money the Obasanjo's government spent on electricity upgrade from 1999 to 2007? Bebe says, hi, Smooth FM. Nigeria and Africa at large have abundance of solar energy, and yet almost zero EV solar panels and inverter manufacturing companies. There lies our only and sole hope to move forward. We need independent home solar solutions. It will also create jobs and unique infrastructure. Thank you, Benito, for that one. Imo from Ikeja says, do we think we need 400 billion naira to revive the power industry in Nigeria? How? Once again, let's throw money at the problem. Money is not the first problem. Efficiency, effectiveness, integrity, and transparency are the first things we need, not $400 billion. Onochuko says, government should He said the issue about power, which is a key factor to industrialization, should be decentralized. Government lacks the political will to downsize its workforce, and government should have invested in infrastructure that will enhance internet penetration, not railway. Will internet get you from Kaduna to Port Harcourt to Kaduna? But anyway, that's out of time. Thank you for this conversation.
Wow, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.